Gotham will survive.
Hello, my trigger happy friends. My name is Stevie Cade, and thank you for joining me as I continue my live action Batman review series. I am doing this along with my Superman live action review series leading up to my review for Batman v Superman. But before we get started, if you could hit that subscribe button and the little bell ding thing so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So grab your keyboards, head down to the comment section, and let's review The Dark Knight Rises. Before we dive into the actual review, I have a Batman checklist. This is a list of Batman things that I just go through, see what he's gained or what new toys he has, you know, all this, that, the other. First of all, let's talk about the Batsuit. Nothing really changed, and which is fine. We don't need a new Batsuit every Batman movie, so I'm cool with it. This one's the same one that was in The Dark Knight. It's a good one. Sweet. The Batcave seems to have upgraded, which I get because we haven't actually seen this Batcave since the first film, Batman Begins, but it's kind of funny because it has all these updates, but Bruce Wayne has been like depressingly lurking around Wayne Manor for the past 8 years, and I don't think he's really used it. But it has some cool updates, like the walkway and the landing for the Batplane, you know, rises from the water. It rises from the water. I get it, which is nice, but it seems really slippery, so like, be careful on there, Alfred. Wear some slip-resistant shoes. The Batmobile is not in this movie. The very first Batman movie to not have a Batmobile. Now, we do have the Tumbler. There's lots of Tumblers, but it's not Batmobile. But the Batpod is the star of the movie again. It gets to show off more of its tumbling skills. What, like, I didn't know it could do that. Like, I know he did that little, you know, but seeing this thing tumble when he makes a sharp left, I didn't expect that. That was actually pretty damn awesome. The Batplane, reverse helicopter thingy that looks like a beetle. And I guess they call it the Bat, but for the sake of this review, I'm just going to call it the Batplane. It actually is a pretty badass Batplane, I'm not gonna lie. And it really makes me happy that I have a pristine sound system when this thing shows up in the movie, because I have full surround sound in my living room with 2 subwoofers. That's right, 2 subwoofers. And when this thing shows up, it's like,
you might have the wrong animal there, sir.
I torture my family with this. Now let's talk about the Bat Gadgets. We have that new device that shuts down all the electronic things, which Bruce Wayne oddly uses in front of a whole bunch of people. And this particular thing is kind of odd because we see it in 3 different variations. We see the keychain version when he comes out of the car. We get to see this gun version when he's on the Batpod, and then we see it with the Batplane when it comes down and shuts down the tumblers in the 3rd act. Then there's the Bat Flashbang thing that he throws at Bane that does nothing. The theatricals. That's a cool little toy, and I would have actually liked to seen him use that on other people that it would work on and see how they react to it, but instead we get Bane, who obviously just doesn't give a shit because he knows what that is. And then we have the Bat Brace. I'm not sure if this counts as a new gadget, but it kind of magically heals Batman, which I thought Batman got shot. The injury was a little inconsistent from what I saw in the previous movie, but whatever. It worked. Now he's fixed. Now that we're done with the Batman checklist, let's move right along with what I like about this movie. The overall message of Batman being a symbol and who is under the mask isn't all that important. Well, I mean, it's important to the integrity of who's wearing the mask, but I think you get what I'm saying. Like, Batman being a symbol, it doesn't matter who Batman is. Christian Bale as Batman and Bruce Wayne. We've had a very interesting story arc with this man throughout the 3 films. We've seen them kind of grow separately. Like, in Batman Begins, he was kind of both, you know, and Bruce Wayne was his mask in a sense. But in this one, there's a major divide, and it has to do with, and I imagine it has to do with his 8 years off that he took. You know, he's kind of been brooding in this deep, dark world, and now he wants to be Batman again. So when he puts on the cowl, he goes full Batman, and kind of leaves Bruce Wayne to the side, and they really need a balance. And this movie is about him finding that balance and bringing them together again so he can defeat his biggest nemesis, Bane. But when he's done, he separates them, but he doesn't, like, kill Batman. Batman's not done. He passes the torch. So he kind of sacrifices that part of himself, but in doing so, Bruce Wayne can now live in peace and happiness. Tom Hardy as Bane. This man demands the screen whenever he's on it. And still to this day, if I didn't already know that was Tom Hardy, I wouldn't be able to guess it. I cannot see Tom Hardy at all when I look at this. Now, which is odd because in other roles, I can recognize Bane in Tom Hardy roles, but like in this role, I can't recognize Tom Hardy as Bane. It's odd. Tom Hardy's physical presence is pristine. Another example of this is the movie Bronson. And if you haven't seen Bronson, I highly recommend you go check that movie out. It is some top shelf Tom Hardy acting.
Listen, Nursey, I just want to know when my trial is and when I head back to the slammer. Right? Wrong, Mr. Peterson.
And he takes that and puts that in this role. He gives us a Bane that we didn't quite expect, and I think that's a good thing. Anne Hathaway as Selena Kyle. Okay, this one's a twofer. Number one, Anne Hathaway does an incredible job expressing the many layers of Selena Kyle. Her ability to switch personas in an instant to adapt to her situation, or to get what she wants. Pretty much every girl I've ever dated. I guess I have a type. Number two being who Catwoman is in this movie. She's a cat burglar. A really good cat burglar. Unlike the one we saw previously with Michelle Pfeiffer, which don't get me wrong, I love Michelle Pfeiffer, but she was more of a meta-human, which Catwoman actually isn't. So I like how they stuck with that in this film. And even though she is a criminal, like, I'm pretty sure she murders people. You know, why would she be disappointed when Batman says no killing? You know, like, plus she kills Bane at the end. But she's also somebody who wants to be better, but she's stuck. You see her living a life that she doesn't want to live, but she feels like she has to live. And it takes someone like Bruce Wayne to see through that act and show that he has faith in her no matter what her previous decisions were. Got a lot of layers in this movie. And not to forget to mention, Catwoman's score is on point. Hans Zimmer hit the nail right on the head. He captured the essence that is Catwoman. The score has a very intriguingly sneakiness behind it, and it kind of sounds like even if a cat walked on piano keys, in my opinion, which maybe that's what he was going for, maybe not. Either way, that's what I thought of, and I thought that was a really creative aspect to have. The final battle with Bane. This battle is boss. This is probably one of the best fight sequences in the entire Nolan trilogy. You really get to understand just how weak Batman is, and not physically, but mentally. Bane's integrity is different than he's expecting, and this is what Alfred is trying to teach him, or warn him about. But again, Bruce Wayne has this disconnect with Batman. He seems to think all he needs to do is have brute strength, because he hasn't learned that Batman needs to be more than just a physical presence. And the choice to have no climactic music during this scene, it really hammers down Batman's defeat with every blow that Bane gives him. But this scene is a double-edged sword, because it brings me to what I'm on the fence about when it comes to this movie. The choreography in this film is very distracting. It's just not done well. It works, I guess, but there's just a lot of shots where it seems like the camera should have been here, but it was over here. You know, like, just an oversight, I guess. I don't know. It's very strange. Like Bane's power punch that clearly does not land, but still takes out Batman. This sort of thing is seen throughout the entire film, and it's pretty darn distracting. And not even just with the choreography. I mean, even the miming, like the CPR scene at the beginning when they're, you know, doing the blood transfusion. I don't even think he's touching them. Or another example is when Bane's mask gets broken by Batman. Tom Hardy's just kind of like fiddling with it. He's just doing this. Like, you could clearly tell, again, he's not doing anything. He's not like struggling to put pieces back. He's just doing this. It's odd that Nolan wouldn't have a better attention to detail. And this sort of oversight spills over into the exposition in this movie. Like, they clearly just say things just to explain it to the audience so we can just move on real quick. Again, it's not terribly distracting, but it's definitely a lot more prominent in this film than it was in the other two. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as John Blake, or Robin John Blake as they so painfully threw in this movie. I really don't mind him being Robin. That was an okay aspect, but I really need to give you some backstory to my expectations when it came to Joseph Gordon-Levitt and this movie. Here, let me explain it to you. Way before he was ever cast into this film, I was watching a movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I was like, man, he really looks like Heath Ledger. Like, he had the long hair and everything. I'm like, he looks like Heath Ledger. Like, uncannily so. And then I saw Inception, and I'm like, you know, if I see it, Christopher Nolan has to see it. So in my head, before they even announced he was ever in the movie, I said they should cast him to take Heath Ledger's place to play the Joker. The moment they announced that he was in this movie, I was like, dude, I got it. I predicted this. He's going to be the Joker. How can he not be the Joker? Well, he wasn't the Joker. I was so close, so close. I did like his role, but the entire time I'm watching this movie, I'm just like, should have been the Joker. Should have been the Joker. Now, when it comes to my expectations of who Robin should have been, I don't know if you remember, but in my Batman Begins review, I said I thought this kid...
It's you, isn't it? Everybody's been talking about you. The other kids won't believe me.
Should have been Robin. I think this kid could have played John Blake in this movie. Maybe they extended, how many years Batman was gone to like 10 years or something like that to make this kid a rookie cop who's, 19, 20 years old. But while I was watching this movie, when Blake is explaining how he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, he's like, I don't know if you remember, but we've met before. I was like, the kid, it would make sense. His parents were arguing, so they weren't the best parents, and now he's an orphan, and all this, that, the other. It all just like clicked in my head like that. And then he just quickly said something about a stupid look, and I don't know. Ever since then, I really thought that kid should have been Robin, and they could have just made this happen. My point to all of this is my expectations for two different levels of this character just were not met. I like the character, but the actor playing him I thought was going to play a different character, and then the character he was has a different origin story than I thought he would. So, Now moving right along with what I don't like about this film. Why doesn't anyone believe Commissioner Gordon? He hasn't really earned the crackpot detective, treatment that he gets in this movie. Like, why would nobody believe him when he says there's an army in the sewers? He's a highly decorated officer. Okay, yeah, they say something about, well, that was for wartime. This is peacetime. Well, dude's telling you there's a fucking army in the sewer. Might want to listen to the war guy. Maybe one way they could have rectified this is like actually have him read that speech about Harvey Dent at the beginning of the movie. And people are like, whoa, this guy's trying to accuse Harvey Dent of all these crimes. This guy's a crackpot. And then not believe him. That would have made more sense, but I just don't get why they just don't believe him now, How does everyone not know Bruce Wayne is Batman at this point? I mean, or even question the fact that there's tumblers, things that look suspiciously a lot like Batmobiles, just roaming the city by Bane's people? Like, can we not connect the dots here? Even the Wayne Industry board members don't question the fact that all this Batman swag is just below their offices. No one brings it up. I mean, even at the very end, they have two mechanics in applied sciences working on the Batplane. I guess it's on the books now. The guys even state that Bruce Wayne is the one that worked on the plane and fixed the autopilot. Lots of dots. No connecting. Why was Joker never mentioned in this movie? Okay, before we dive into that, I know why Joker was never mentioned in this movie. Like, I understand the behind the scenes of it, but even some dialogue of like where he could have been. They just ignore that aspect. I mean, in a world where Bane releases all of Gotham's criminals, you would imagine that he would at least get a mention or some explanation of where he is. Like, oh, good thing we shipped him over to Metropolis, or something stupid like that. Or just have Joseph Gordon-Levitt play him. That would be my thing. Miranda Tate, Talia al Ghul. I was not impressed by this twist ending. It didn't feel earned at all. Like, I kind of didn't care about her. And it left me with a lot of questions of wondering why she didn't tell Bane that Bruce Wayne was back. I mean, she had plenty of time to tell him, but Bane obviously seemed surprised when he saw the fire signal, which is an odd thing, by the way. The crow much? Also, why did she hate her father until Batman killed him? It seems like more shock value, like, oh, that is his daughter. Oh my God. Like, okay. I think she should have been known as Talia from the very beginning, and even like leading the League of Shadows herself and still having Bane as the main muscle. Dress her up in the whole ninja outfit and everything. If you still want that twist ending, have that Daggett piece of shit guy be the twist. Have him be the surprise reveal that was helping Bane the whole time. We knew he was helping Bane from the very beginning, so he wasn't the twist, but he could have been the twist, and Talia could have been a more prominent character in this film. Tom Hardy's tattoo makeup cover-up is bad. Like, it's really bad. Like, they should have just digitally removed it, or have him wear a shirt the entire time. Like, the black shirt he's wearing in the beginning, have him wear that. That looks pretty cool. But I am painfully aware that whenever it gets wet, it's caking up on his arm. It just looks distracting. Like, What am I supposed to think that is? What did Christopher Nolan think I would think that is? Oh, he's in the sewer. It's just sewer gook. Again, it's just attention to detail that's missing in this movie. You add the lack of attention to detail, the exposition, and the choreography all together, and it really seems like Nolan phoned in this whole movie. Like, he just wasn't as focused in this movie as he was the previous two. And he either ignored or just overlooked a lot of issues. Which actually brings me to a whole slew of petty points, because most of my petty points are just overlooked details that could have been easily fixed if Nolan just paid attention. Like, where did the motorbikes come from in the stock exchange ordeal? Like, how do you get those in there? Like, okay, maybe there's like a secret thing, you know, like they had a tunnel going underneath and that's how they got them in there. But then why didn't they just use that to get in there in the first place? Robin throws his gun away only to pick up another gun immediately afterwards to protect Commissioner Gordon. How much time did Batman spend making this Batplane symbol thing? You're obviously on a major time constraint. Like, at one point in time he says, "We have 45 minutes to save the city." Man, if only I hadn't spent 4 hours making that Batflame symbol. I feel like there could have been a cooler way to do that. Not really cooler, okay, it was a pretty cool thing, but a smarter way to do it. It's weird to make the decision to have that be what he does in a situation that is under a major time constraint. Batman gives a pointless bomb to Robin. Did nobody raid Wayne Manor during this entire thing? In a city where martial law is infected, I'm gonna head to Wayne Manor and see what kind of shit I can get from there. Oh man, we play this piano. Hey, what's that? I don't know, it's like a secret passageway. Let's go check it out. I'm just saying. And speaking of that, also having the Wayne Manor be turned into the new orphanage or whatever that place is that they turn it into, that's a really bad idea unless you move the Batcave, because these little shits are gonna find that. How did Bruce Wayne find it in the very beginning? He was a kid doing kid things and he fell down a fucking hole. Maybe you shouldn't make that a public domain like that. And my last petty point is Catwoman doing this is completely pointless. She could have just reached over and done it. You know, she doesn't need to do the leg thing. But overall, I really do enjoy this film, and actually for a long time, this movie was my favorite out of the trilogy. But looking back with a critiquing eye, there are a lot of mistakes, and a lot of, as I said, just details overlooked. But I still find the movie to be a fun watch, and I like having a conclusion to Batman, something that we know he's passing the torch on. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing that movie. But for all these reasons, I'm giving this movie a B-.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great!
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, there you have it, guys. There's the end of my Nolan trilogy. The next one is, Batman v Superman. That's the next Batman movie. So I got one more Superman review to do after this. Two more? One more? I don't know. It'll be coming soon. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos. And as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.